Virelia Ashwing fell through the sky, her wings battered and torn. She had flown with her clan for decades, proud and fierce, but today, everything had ended. The council had called her a traitor. They said she had disobeyed the sacred laws of her people, laws that demanded destruction, not mercy. Virelia had refused to burn a small planet filled with creatures who had done her clan no harm. For that, they had taken her name, her rank, and her honor. They had cast her out. The fall was long and the wind cut against her scales like knives. Pain tore through her chest, but she kept moving, flapping her wings when she could. The stars above were cold, silent, indifferent. She had nowhere to go, no friend to call, no home to return to. The universe seemed to shrug as she descended toward the dark world below. Kareth 9 was a forgotten moon. Humans rarely visited it, and dragons had never cared for it. The ground was gray and cracked, dotted with ruins of old alien machines. Dust rose in soft clouds as Virelia's claws scraped the surface. Her wings finally gave out, and she collapsed near the remains of a dome. Her breathing was shallow, her body weak. Every muscle screamed in pain, and for a moment she wondered if she would ever move again. The dome was broken and lifeless. Panels hung from rusted hinges, wires spilled across the floor like dead snakes. The air was thin, but it could sustain life if someone worked at it. Virelia dragged herself inside, her claws leaving marks on the cold metal. She sank onto the floor and closed her eyes. She had no plan. She only had survival. Hours passed, or maybe days. Time felt strange on Kareth 9. Virelia's body was stiff, but hunger and thirst drove her to explore the dome. She found containers of dry nutrient paste, old tools, and machines that whirred faintly when she touched them. A broken irrigation system lay in a corner, bent and cracked, but some parts still glimmered. She had no idea what it had grown before or if anything could grow again. She knelt in the soil, dull and gray under the dome. It was cold and dry, almost lifeless. Her claws dug into it slowly. She imagined planting seeds, nurturing them, seeing them grow. A strange warmth ran through her as she touched the ground. It was subtle, almost too faint to notice, but it made her feel noticed, alive. She whispered her name softly, as if the world itself might hear her. Virelia Ashwing, she said. I am still here. That night, the stars blinked silently over Kareth 9. The wind moaned through the broken dome, and shadows stretched across the floor. Virelia slept poorly, half dreaming of fire and flight, half dreaming of the life she had lost. Her clan's voices haunted her dreams, accusing, condemning, and yet a small part of her felt free. Free from the laws that demanded cruelty, free from the expectations of dragons who had feared her heart. In the morning she rose slowly. Her body ached, but determination burned in her chest. She scavenged the dome, fixing wires, reconnecting broken circuits, cleaning the dust off panels. She did not know if the old machines would work. She did not know if the soil would ever grow. But she knew she had to try. Survival was not just staying alive. It was creating something new, something her clan would never understand. Days passed in small victories. Virelia found containers of seeds left by the aliens who had come before. She planted them carefully, covering them with the gray soil. She watered them with recycled moisture from the dome's air system. She watched, holding her breath, as tiny green shoots dared to push upward. The first sprouts were weak and fragile, but alive. Virelia's heart swelled with a strange pride. It had been a long time since she had created, rather than destroyed. While she worked, she began to notice strange things. Tools she left on the floor were slightly moved when she returned. The soil seemed to shift gently under her claws, almost as if it responded to her touch. She shrugged it off, thinking fatigue had made her see things. Yet a small, quiet hope grew in her chest. Maybe this world, dead and abandoned as it was, could remember life. Maybe she could help it remember. One evening, a human ship passed above the moon. The ship was small, a trade vessel, but its scanners detected the faint energy of Virelia's dragon blood mingling with the soil. A young scout named Elias Morin landed quietly, curious about the source of the readings. He found Virelia bent over a sprouting plant, her eyes closed in concentration. He froze. Dragons were dangerous. They were conquerors. Yet here was one working quietly, carefully, tending the soil instead of threatening anyone. Virelia opened her eyes and saw him. She tensed, ready to defend herself, but Elias raised his hands. I won't harm you, he said. I've never seen anything like this. She studied him. Humans were fragile compared to dragons. They were soft, small, mortal. But there was something honest in his voice, something simple. She nodded once. Then stay out of my way, she said. This is not your land. Elias smiled faintly. Not yet, he said. But maybe it could be something more. The wind shifted outside the dome, carrying with it the cold of space and the silent promise of survival. Virelia felt it deep in her bones. She had been cast out, forgotten, hated. Yet here, in this abandoned place, she was something new. She was not a warrior. She was not a destroyer. She was a creator. And beneath her claws, the soil stirred, faint and alive, as if it had waited a long time for her touch. Virelia looked up at the dark sky through a broken panel. The stars were cold, distant and silent. But for the first time she did not feel alone. She had the soil. She had life waiting beneath it. And she had the will to survive. Whatever the galaxy had cast her out of, she would build something it could never take from her. Virelia woke to the faint hum of the broken machines. The sprouts she had planted the day before were taller, greener, stronger than she expected. She blinked in surprise. Nothing on Kareth 9 had ever grown this way. She touched the soil gently, and it felt warmer under her claws. The sensation made her pause. It was as if the land itself welcomed her. She worked all morning repairing the irrigation system. Pipes were rusted, valves broken and circuits fried. But Virelia's dragon fire was precise. She breathed carefully, melting metal only where it needed to bend, repairing the ancient machines without destroying them. Sweat ran down her scales, but she smiled faintly. This was work she had never imagined doing, and yet it felt right. By afternoon, tiny shoots of alien crops had appeared along the repaired lines. Virelia had no idea what they were. Some had long, thin leaves, others curled in strange spirals. They shimmered faintly in the artificial light. She knelt, brushing dust from the sprouts, and whispered encouragement. "Grow," she said. "Live." She didn't know if the plants understood, but the soil seemed to tremble beneath her claws. The day passed quietly until a faint hum shook the dome. Virelia froze. Her claws dug into the soil instinctively. It was not thunder. The moon had no weather to speak of. The hum came from below. The ground pulsed, slow and steady, as if something slept deep under the farm. Virelia's heart raced. She had felt this before in the first hours after she arrived. Something in the soil was alive, something waiting. Later, a small human ship landed near the dome. Virelia crouched behind a stack of crates, wings tucked tight. The ship was sleek and silver, humming quietly as it cooled. A ladder extended and a young man climbed down. His uniform was simple, clean, and his eyes wide with curiosity. He carried a small scanner in his hands. "Hello," he called, his voice careful. "Is anyone here?" Virelia rose slowly. Her scales caught the dim light, her wings tense but not spread. "Who are you?" she demanded. Her voice was sharp, but she did not attack. The man raised his hands. "I'm not here to fight. My name is Elias Morin. I was scanning the area and I saw energy readings. Yours, I think." Virelia's eyes narrowed. "Energy readings?" "Yes," Elias said. "It's strange. You are alive. And whatever is under the ground, it's reacting." Virelia looked down at the soil. She had felt it. She had known it. "It is nothing you need to worry about," she said. "Go away." Elias shook his head. "I cannot. This is unusual. I've seen dead worlds, barren moons. But this, something here wants to live." He smiled faintly. "And you seem to be helping it." Virelia studied him. Humans were fragile, mortal, and weak. They could not survive alone on Kareth 9. But this one seemed honest. Not greedy, not cruel. Just curious. She nodded once. "Stay quiet. And stay out of my way." "I will," he said. "But maybe I can help." For the next few days, Virelia and Elias worked together. She repaired machines, he monitored energy levels and moisture. Together, they watered the sprouts and repaired broken irrigation pipes. Slowly, green shoots covered more of the dome. Alien crops that should never have grown here were growing. Virelia could not explain it. Science said the soil was dead. The aliens who had tried before had failed. Yet here life returned. The hum from below grew stronger. At night, the soil pulsed softly under Virelia's claws. She slept lightly, dreams filled with strange visions of roots moving like veins, of water flowing in channels beneath the surface, of something massive and breathing under the ground. She woke sweating but determined. Whatever lay beneath the farm, she would protect it. One morning, she discovered that the sprouts had changed again. Leaves twisted toward her as she approached. The crops seemed to sense her presence. She knelt and touched them, feeling a tiny pulse through her claws, like the heartbeat of the soil itself. It was impossible yet undeniable. Kareth 9 was alive, and it had chosen her as its caretaker. Elias watched from the doorway. "This is incredible," he whispered. "I've studied strange planets but nothing like this. It's almost intelligent." Virelia's eyes narrowed. "Perhaps it is," she said. "Perhaps this moon is not dead at all. Perhaps it has been waiting for someone to care for it." The days turned into weeks. The farm expanded. Crops of green, purple, and silver sprouted in neat rows. The soil seemed to respond to Virelia's touch, moving slightly when she dug, adjusting itself to water and sunlight. She even planted seeds she had never seen before. They grew in hours, twisting into strange shapes, defying what humans and dragons considered natural. But there were warnings. Small tremors shook the dome from time to time. Faint lights glimmered below the soil at night, moving like veins or eyes. The energy pulses became stronger, almost impatient. Virelia began to sense that whatever lay beneath was testing her, waiting for her to understand. One evening, Elias said, "If anyone discovers this place, they will not understand what you are doing. Dragons will want to take it. Humans will want to study it. This farm, this soil, it is dangerous." Virelia looked at him, her eyes steady. "Danger is only what others call it. To me it is life. And life is worth protecting no matter the cost." As the stars rose over Kareth 9, the sprouts shimmered faintly, the soil pulsed softly, and Virelia stood in the middle of the dome, wings relaxed but alert. The farm was alive. The moon was alive. And she, cast out and alone, was the first to witness a miracle that should not exist. For the first time since her exile, Virelia Ashwing felt hope. She was not a warrior in a clan. She was not a fighter of wars. She was a caretaker of life, a builder where others had destroyed. And the soil beneath her claws seemed to understand. It would grow. And it would change everything. Virelia Ashwing walked across the farm as the sun rose over Kareth 9. The alien crops swayed gently under her claws. She had never seen anything grow like this. Green, purple, and silver leaves shimmered in the morning light. Vines twisted around the broken machines as if they wanted to fix them. The soil pulsed faintly under her feet. It was alive and it was impatient. She knelt and pressed her claws into the soil. A soft vibration ran through her body. It was different from anything she had felt before. The hum from below grew louder, steady and slow, like breathing. Virelia's heart raced. She had felt the pulses before, but now they were stronger. The soil was trying to tell her something, or maybe it was waking up. Elias Morin was beside her, watching quietly. "I've run scans all night," he said. "This soil, it's not soil. It's organic, like a huge life form buried under the surface. Millions of years old. I think it's been sleeping." Virelia frowned. "Sleeping?" she asked. "You mean it's alive?" "Yes," Elias said. "And it's huge. I can't even measure it fully. But it's reacting to your presence. You're bonding with it somehow." Virelia's tail flicked nervously. Dragons were strong, powerful, and feared by many, but this was different. This was bigger than any clan, bigger than any battle she had fought. It was something alive and old, and she had touched it by accident. She stood and walked slowly over the field. Tiny shoots grew taller as she passed. The vines seemed to curl toward her, and the soil beneath her claws shifted slightly. It was not just alive. It was aware. Virelia's mind raced. If her clan had known, they would have wanted to take it, destroy it, or control it. She clenched her claws. She would protect it. Days passed, and the farm continued to grow in impossible ways. Crops twisted into shapes that defied biology. Flowers that glowed faintly at night opened only when she touched them. Roots dug themselves into broken machinery and repaired it silently. The soil pulsed stronger each day. Something beneath the fields was stirring. One night, Virelia awoke to a deep rumble. The dome shook slightly and dust fell from the ceiling. She climbed to the top of a broken wall to see faint lights moving under the fields. They were not machines, not fire, not electricity. They were patterns of life, slow and deliberate. The hum beneath the ground had grown into a rhythm, steady and calm like a heartbeat. Elias joined her, eyes wide. "It's incredible," he whispered. "It's massive. Whatever it is, it's alive in ways we can't understand. It's listening. It knows you are here." Virelia nodded. "I think it trusts me," she said. "Or maybe it is testing me. I do not know. But I will protect it no matter what." As the days went by, the movements beneath the fields became more obvious. The soil would shift when she planted seeds, forming small channels and patterns. Water seemed to flow where she wanted it to. Plants grew faster and stronger. The farm was alive, but it was alive because she was here. She realized the life under the soil had chosen her. But danger was coming. Strange ships appeared in orbit around Kareth 9, scanning the moon. Virelia saw their silhouettes on the horizon. Dragon clan enforcers had detected unusual energy readings. They would want to take control of her farm. And far beyond, corporate syndicates would send ships to harvest anything valuable from the soil. Elias warned her. They're coming. Humans, dragons, aliens, they will all want it. And none of them will understand. Virelia's eyes burned. Then we must prepare, she said. This is no longer just a farm. This is life. And I will not let them destroy it. That night, she walked through the field, her claws brushing the glowing plants. She felt the life beneath her claws respond. Vines rose slightly, curling toward her. Roots twisted above the soil like protective barriers. She whispered, I am here. I will protect you. The soil pulsed in response, steady and calm, like it understood her words. Elias watched silently. I've never seen anything like this. Dragons destroy, humans study, aliens exploit. But this is creation. It's beautiful. Virelia nodded, but her mind was alert. She knew the coming weeks would not be easy. Her clan would arrive. Other humans and aliens might come. They would not understand a dragon working with soil, a moon that was alive, or life that obeyed no rules. She had no army, no weapons, just her fire, her claws, and the living soil beneath her feet. The farm continued to grow. Crops that should have been impossible to survive in this environment flourished. Flowers glowed at night, feeding small animals that had returned to the moon. The vines repaired broken domes, the soil purified water, and the hidden life under the ground waited patiently. It was massive, old, and mysterious. It slept, but it was not powerless. Virelia realized she was no longer just a dragon. She was a guardian, a caretaker, a protector of something the galaxy had forgotten. She had been cast out, hated, and alone. But in the soil she found purpose. In the sprouts she found hope. In the ancient life beneath the fields she found a bond stronger than any clan or law. And deep under the surface the life form pulsed, vast and slow, listening to her heartbeat, her fire, her touch. It had waited for her, and now, it would awaken with her guidance. Virelia Ashwing looked over the field as the twin moons of Kareth 9 rose. The soil pulsed beneath her claws, and the plants shimmered under her gaze. The farm was no longer hers alone. Something ancient and powerful had chosen her. And whatever slept beneath the fields was ready to change everything. She clenched her claws. She was ready. Virelia Ashwing felt the rumble under her claws before she saw them. Dragon enforcers had arrived. Shadows moved across the broken horizon, dark ships descending from the sky. Their leader, a massive dragon with black scales and cruel eyes, landed near the edge of the farm. Virelia stood in the center of her fields, wings spread, fire ready, but she did not attack. She had learned something her clan had never taught her. Fire could heal, not just destroy. The leader's voice boomed across the field. Virelia Ashwing, you have broken the laws of the clan. You have no right to live freely. Surrender the soil and the life beneath it. Virelia narrowed her eyes. This soil is not yours, she said calmly. It belongs to life, not to dragons or clans or rulers. You will not take it. The enforcers laughed. Life? You are a weakling cast out alone. You cannot protect anything. Virelia's heart beat fast, but she stayed steady. She did not fear them. She had survived exile, cold space, and death. She had learned to create where others destroyed. And she had something they did not understand. A bond with the soil beneath her claws and the life that slept under the fields. The enforcers advanced. Their claws dug into the ground, burning the edge of her crops. Virelia took a deep breath. Fire rose in her throat, not to burn them but to awaken the life around her. She breathed carefully, sending a pulse of warm fire into the soil. The plants shimmered. Vines lifted, curling and twisting into barriers that blocked the enforcers. Roots grew above the ground, strong and thick, creating walls that no dragon could easily break. The leader growled. You dare defy me? He struck at the vines, tearing them apart with his claws, but the soil reacted instantly. New roots shot up from below, replacing what he destroyed. The hum of the life under the fields grew louder. It was awake now, aware of her will, ready to protect her. Elias Morin stood behind a reinforced wall, watching. Virelia, the life form, it's responding to you. You don't need to fight them alone. Virelia's eyes glowed faintly. She understood. Her fire did not need to kill. It needed to awaken the soil's power, to show the enforcers that destruction would not win here. She focused, breathing a controlled flame into the roots, the vines, the soil. The ground pulsed with energy, and the plants grew taller, forming barriers and cages that held the black-scaled dragons back. The enforcers roared, surprised and angry. They attacked with claws, teeth and fire, but the farm itself defended her. Broken machinery sprang to life, spraying mist to protect plants. Vines wrapped around ships, holding them in place. Roots pushed through soil and stone, shifting like living walls. The life beneath the fields moved, slow and steady, and every attack they made was blocked or absorbed. Virelia's chest heaved. She realized the truth: she was not alone. The soil, the plants, and the ancient life beneath it fought with her. Her fire did not destroy, it healed, awakened, and strengthened. For the first time she felt the full power of creation. Her exile, her pain, and her choices had prepared her for this moment. She was not just a dragon. She was a guardian, a healer, a creator of life. The leader of the enforcers roared in anger and charged. Virelia met him in the center of the field. Fire curled from her mouth, but it did not burn the crops. Instead, it flowed into the roots around him, binding his claws and wings with living vines. The soil shifted beneath him, holding him tight. He struggled, but the more he fought, the stronger the plants became. Enough. Virelia called, her voice strong and commanding. You will leave, or the soil itself will bury you. The leader snarled but realized he could not win. His claws tore at the ground, but roots and vines wrapped around him again. The hum beneath the soil grew into a steady roar, and the energy pulses lifted from the ground like invisible walls. One by one the enforcers backed away, defeated not by death, but by the power of life itself. Elias stepped forward. They are gone, he said, awe in his voice. You did it. You didn't destroy them, you used life to protect life. Virelia nodded. Her chest still burned from the effort, but she smiled faintly. This is how fire should be used, she said. Not to kill. Not to conquer. To heal, to awaken, to protect. The crops shimmered again in the evening light, stronger and taller than before. Roots twisted into patterns across the soil, repairing what had been broken by the fight. The hum beneath the ground softened, settling into a calm rhythm. The life beneath the fields had awakened fully. It had listened. It had fought. And it had survived. Virelia knelt, pressing her claws into the soil. I will always protect you, she whispered. No one will take you, no matter how strong they are. Elias smiled. You've changed everything here. This isn't just a farm. It's a living world now. Virelia looked around. The field was alive, glowing faintly in the twilight. The plants responded to her presence. The soil pulsed under her claws. She had been cast out, alone and hated by her clan. But now she had purpose. She had found a bond that not even her enemies could break. Night fell over Kareth 9. The twin moons rose, casting soft light on the glowing crops. The air was calm, the soil steady. Virelia stood in the middle of her farm, wings relaxed but alert. The enforcers had gone, but she knew they would return if word spread. Yet she was ready. The fire in her throat was not for destruction. It was for life. The soil had chosen her, and she would always choose it back. Virelia Ashwing had been cast out, but she had found more than survival. She had found creation, protection, and a purpose greater than any clan, greater than any law. She was not just a dragon. She was the guardian of a living world. And the stars above watched silently as she prepared for whatever would come next. Virelia Ashwing stood at the edge of her farm, watching the twin moons of Kareth 9 rise in the dark sky. The soil pulsed beneath her claws, alive and steady, and the crops shimmered softly in the moonlight. She had survived exile, danger, and betrayal, and now she had something no dragon or human or alien could take from her. A living world that trusted her. Elias Morin stood beside her, scanning the horizon. No one has ever done this before, he said quietly. Dragons destroy, humans exploit, aliens conquer. But you've built life where none should exist. And the life beneath this soil, it listens to you. Virelia smiled faintly. I was cast out because I refused to destroy. I was alone because I chose mercy. But perhaps the universe needed me to be alone, to find this place, to protect it. Over the next weeks, word of Kareth 9 spread quietly through human networks. Scouts and scientists visited, cautious but respectful. They saw a dragon working the soil, repairing broken alien machines, growing crops that defied all logic. They saw the soil pulse under her claws, roots moving like living veins. And they began to understand something humans often forgot. Life could flourish when someone chose to protect it, no matter how small, no matter how weak, no matter how cast out. Virelia never sought glory. She did not speak to the visitors much. She worked quietly, tending her crops and listening to the soil. Yet every human who left carried a story of a dragon who created, a dragon who healed, a dragon who protected life instead of destroying it. The stories spread like wildfire across the galaxy, carried in whispers, reports, and holologs. The dragon clans noticed too. They had sent enforcers, but those who witnessed the power of life at Kareth 9 returned silent, confused. A dragon who built instead of destroyed challenged everything they believed. Some feared Virelia. Some secretly admired her. Most could not understand. Yet slowly the idea spread that strength was not always measured by fire or claws. Sometimes it was measured by care, patience, and protection. Elias helped Virelia expand the farm. Together, they planted crops in patterns that repaired broken machinery and purified water. The ancient life beneath the soil continued to awaken, spreading slowly, testing the limits of the moon. The vines repaired structures, the roots cleaned the water, and the soil pulsed with a steady heartbeat. Life that should have been dead for millions of years now thrived because a dragon refused to give up. One day Virelia stood on a small hill overlooking the fields. The twin moons reflected off her scales. "Elias," she said softly, "I thought exile would end me. I thought loneliness would break me. But instead it gave me purpose. It gave me life to protect. It gave me a world that needed me." Elias nodded. "You have shown humans and dragons something they rarely understand. That power can be gentle. That mercy can be stronger than fear. That creation can win where destruction fails." The moons shifted, casting silver light across the fields. The soil pulsed faintly, a slow heartbeat echoing the rhythm of Virelia's own. Small animals, long thought extinct on this moon, began to return. Birds with silver feathers nested among the vines. Tiny creatures crawled through the roots, feeding on the new crops. The farm was alive, thriving, and growing beyond anyone's expectation. News reached distant stars. Humans told of a dragon who had been cast out, alone and broken, who had rebuilt a dead world into life. Aliens told of a soil that listened, that healed, that pulsed with a rhythm that reflected a dragon's heartbeat. Across the galaxy, beings who had never imagined dragons as creators now whispered the truth. Sometimes the smallest, most rejected being could change everything. Virelia walked through the fields, her claws brushing the glowing crops. She felt the soil respond, felt the roots shift, felt the vines wrap gently around broken structures to repair them. This was not magic. This was life itself, responding to care and attention, to fire used not for war but for growth. Elias watched her and said softly, "You've changed how the galaxy sees dragons. You've changed how it sees humans too. People will remember this long after we are gone." Virelia's eyes glimmered. Perhaps they will remember that strength is not only in fire and claws. Perhaps they will remember that even those cast out can do the greatest things. That even the smallest kindness can awaken life in the deadest places. The twin moons set slowly and the stars above shone brightly. Across the galaxy, beings watched and listened, unaware of the tiny moon that had become a symbol of hope. A dragon had been cast out, but she had turned exile into life, loneliness into purpose, and a dead world into a thriving garden. Virelia Ashwing crouched in the middle of the farm, wings folded gently. The soil pulsed under her claws. The crops shimmered in the fading light. The ancient life beneath the fields breathed slowly, steadily, alive because she had chosen to protect it. And as the stars above shone down, the galaxy learned something it would not forget. Strength could come from mercy. Power could come from care. Life could grow in the smallest, most rejected hands. A single dragon, cast out and hated, had changed the course of a moon, and perhaps, even the hearts of those who watched from the stars. Virelia smiled faintly. She had no clan now. She had no past that mattered. She only had this living world, the soil beneath her claws, the life she protected, and the knowledge that her choice had mattered. The stars remembered her. They remembered that a dragon, once cast out, could awaken life where none should exist. That a dragon could heal, protect, and create. That even exile could give birth to hope. And somewhere deep under the soil, the ancient life pulsed with a steady, calm heartbeat, alive and awake, because she had chosen to care. Virelia Ashwing rose, stretching her wings. She would continue to protect this world. She would continue to grow life where none should be. And across the galaxy, anyone who looked to Kareth 9 would see that even one exile could teach the stars a lesson about humans, dragons, and the power of choosing creation over destruction. The twin moons set completely. The stars blinked silently above. And Virelia Ashwing, once cast out and alone, stood at the heart of a living world that would never forget her.